Okay, Perry Series number 3 in Long Beach. This is our first setup. Never have sailed in Long Beach in a north wind. So offshore wind, we should be shiftier than normal. Flat water. So these guys wanted them to set up a little further to windward on the first test here. Give themselves a little extra space. When you're doing your early tests after a regatta where you felt not fast, do your early tests like 3 full boat lengths apart at least, just to get warmed up a little and just so you're not having to squeeze like this right away. And we're going with these guys, we're going with the halyards in front of the mast to try to invert the mast a tiny bit. We're going with a tighter top batten. This is the biggest team we've got here. So we're trying to power up the main by going a little tighter top batten. At the pin end, race 1, north wind, flat water, very streaky. The current is pushing us away from the line. The wind has gone about 15 degrees left here 10 minutes before the start, and it stayed there. So this is a big dogfight for the huge, you can't even lay the pin. Ansgar's kind of in trouble right there. There was more pressure on the left. Also, it's not to us yet. Brock did a great job there. Crew's probably ahead of most of the boats on the right, even though he's in bad air. Ansgar digging out there. If you look ahead of Ansgar, big dark shade out there. Okay, so if you guys remember, race 1, Perry number 3 was more pressure on the left. Definitely all of you did a good job of stepping up. Jack Egan's gonna round first. His rake looks a little further back than Ansgar, but they're pretty close. Brock and Ansgar's boom heights looks very similar.
We count 18 competitors, is that correct? That's affirmative. Thank you.
Yep, so as you get to this point of the race too, you're looking at the angles of the boats coming upwind, and they're all lifted on port. These boats are lifted on port tack, so that means we're going on starboard, VMG angle. This is the most experienced crew in the fleet right here. And watch the kite. You're gonna see how he eases and stops, and then when you'll see the curl on the windward edge, just spinnaker's always going out on the sheet until it curls. It just never stops. I actually think Ansgar has worked to lure it a tiny bit, so these boats are almost exactly even. If Jack crosses, jibes, he's barely crossing now. Okay, so he's lowered his pole. Race 1, lowered his pole, but this is the most experienced crew in the fleet right here. And watch the kite. You're gonna see how he eases and stops, and then when you'll see the curl on the windward edge, just spinnaker's always going out on the sheet until it curls. It just never stops. I actually think Ansgar has worked to lure it a tiny bit, so these boats are almost exactly even. If Jack crosses, jibes, he's barely crossing now. But Patrick spinnaker trim also the same way, pull higher though, but you'll see the sheet going out and a quick curl. Oop, as I say that. But this is what the kite should look like right here. You're gonna see the edge curling all the time. You just see right at the top. It's breaking at the top because he's got his pull down. Clew's level. And You see that? Just that little curl almost all the time. That's why he's one of the best trimmers right now in the 420 fleet. These guys have been sailing together, I think 5 years, 4 years, something like that. That looks really good. We'll look at some other teams on that spinnaker trim in a minute, see if the spinnaker's going out quite as quickly and curling as quick as these. These are pretty dynamic kites here. Get downwind, I take a look at that flag on top of the committee boat. It looks like it's the same direction. So I'm just coming around this mark in a little bit of a lefty. It looks like Ansgar has worked into a battle for first. Looks like Jack might get inside overlap on him here. We'll have to see how that works out, but looks like we're gonna come around this mark and be on port for a while. Have to be a little careful of that because we can get in the lee of the jetty over there, and we can also get a lot of powerboat weight coming out of there. But I anticipate we're gonna see, oh, yep, Jack passed Ansgar back, so Jack's now first, Ansgar again second. Ansgar had actually passed him, and then Jack rolled him. Brock coming in third. Brock's probably gained a little here because of that little battle. I don't think he's got a chance at second, but looks like he's gained a little. Crew's done a good job here. He was very close to this guy, Diego, who's a very new team to the Club 420. I think he's only done a couple regattas in Club 420s.
So, sunshine looks like we're staying a little bit more to the left, so probably gonna need you to
yeah, just as I thought.
and take it a bit more to the left.
Big left lift here. So this is going to be easy 1-2 for these guys. Brock an easy third. And then we'll see if Crew can make a little gain on the last. Okay, the wind has come back right a little. It's still pin favored. Ansgar has decided to go more conservative here. Brock is right here. And then Crew right in here. Yeah, so at least we can lay the line on starboard this time. Crew did a good job of picking a cupcake there. Race committee's excellent at calling boats over. Okay, Ansgar got off really nicely right there. The pressure looks, wow, this is a righty here. This is a totally different, if you look, race 2, this angle is much further towards the right, so this race should be a little different. There's Brock tacking right there. These guys are all scrambling because the wind died this time after the start. The benefit they had last time was they started and the wind built where they were. This time they started and the wind died. I think this is going to be a challenge. I think they know that when they look at these boats, that these boats have a little bit more wind than them. And there looks like it's dark ahead. These guys look similar except on the jibs. Actually, Jack Egan is actually in foot mode there a little with his jib a little further out. We've got our jib a little tighter, but we've been hanging with them pretty well. So the question is does Jack Egan play his jib upwind a little tiny bit in this stuff? He might be just burping it out just a tiny bit when he feels slow, like a ½ inch. And then right when he feels like he's moving, he's right back on his tight trim. That's my guess. Okay, race 2, first windward mark. You're gonna see the fleet is very spread out. Offshore flow, and the shifts are huge. So in these conditions, you've got to get to the wind. You got to have really good tacks because you have to tack to play shifts. And these guys that are winning came off the line, pointed towards the jetty on port tack. Everybody up here and many people were pointed way up the course on port tack, but that didn't matter. It was just all about mostly getting to the right. So Ansgar's somewhere right in there, about 2, 4, 6, 7, 7th or 8th, 10153. And then Brock and crew are back here somewhere. Still struggling, just having a troubles staying in phase with shifts, which actually I shouldn't say staying in phase. There's no phase to the shifts. Just got to avoid headers. Okay, so first place put the brakes on pretty hard. Second place right here gained on them. The interesting thing is that they all came around drifting. And there's Jack Egan now in the middle. There's crew, there's Ansgar going out that direction. So these guys are back in the race. Those spinnakers look very much the same. If you were crew right now, you'd be staying here, just practicing your speed. Again, our goal is JOs. We're next to the fastest guy in the fleet downwind. And we're kind of copying his main trim, copying how he's sailing, where he's sitting, how he's doing the main, how they're doing the kite. Just trying to match speed. Just trying to find that little bit of extra speed before our next big events. Build our confidence a little bit, hopefully. Yep, there's Ansgar out there. Took a jibe because he was in a bad spot, and he's moving quite well down inside there. So we'll see how this comes out. Crazy north wind in Long Beach. Okay, Leeward Mark's lined up with the oil island out there. These were the leaders. And they got out to the right here. If you look right here, Jack, crew's done a great job. Brock's done a great job. Brock's right in there. There's Ansgar right there. So Ansgar may be first. These guys are not first and second right now. The wind has died off to 3 or 4 knots. So when it gets here, the skipper's got to look around a little bit and keep looking for boats that are moving fast. And that's how you read the wind. You're looking for boats that are moving fast. You air towards those. But great job here. It looks like we've moved into the top 6 or so. See what happens going into the Leeward Mark. Got a feel for these guys. They were an easy 1-2, and it looks like the tide is still going out left to right here. So if I was in these guys, as soon as I get anywhere near ley line, I'd be jibing. Okay, Brock did a good job coming around in 4th. Crazy Leeward Mark rounding here. Ansgar came around in 3rd. He's headed out that way. The wind built here just before they got to the Leeward Mark, so we're back up to 5 knots. This looks like a good move right here for crew. I think he's done okay here. He actually rounded behind 5394, and he's already ahead of him. Could almost tack and cross him. Probably could tack and cross him. I think we're gonna work on just burping the jib a ½ an inch when it gets slow in light wind. But otherwise, these guys seem pretty good. Better than the last Perry light airspeed.